Hello everyone, welcome. It's episode 133 of the ProSynth Network show. We're live. It's Friday the 21st of October. It's just gone 7 p.m. here in the UK. That's all going to change next week, isn't it? It's daylight savings and all that kind of stuff, and we go out of sync with America for a week. That really messes things up. But anyway, we've got that to look forward to. Welcome one and all. Look, camera, hello everyone there. I was about to do a Mike Metley there, but I reined myself in. Welcome to the show. There's just me and Kent today. Let's bring him in. Might as well just bring him in early doors. There we go. Look, we're both there. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Long time no see. Well, actually, no, it wasn't. Yes. But yes, welcome. We are Benless again today because now Ben's recovered from COVID, as you have mostly as well, which is great to hear. Ben's out gigging, he's earning money. He sent me a picture earlier today of him in his posh hotel room. It's got 2 levels. It's got it's stunning. Lifestyles of the rich and famous, eh? But so Benjamin's not here, so it's just me and Kent and no guests, and that's just as well because there's rather a lot of news going on, lots to get through. And I think most people will probably know what we're going to start with, but we'll come to that in just a moment. Welcome to everybody that's in the chat. Hello, if you are new to the show, welcome. Please do make sure you like and subscribe and do all of that funky stuff. Share the show around, comment underneath or comment in the chat. That would be fantastic. If you have any questions for us, then do stick a big capital Q in front of it, and it just helps us pick it out and bring it to our attention. We, of course, are all over the social media networks, all at ProSynth Network, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and now streaming live every Friday night on Twitch, as well as Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. So just another way for you to enjoy us. If you want to go and watch us on any of those platforms, be aware that not everyone in all of the chat rooms can see your chat. We can, but they can't. And we haven't got one of those funky things that Wagyu and Don put together that can aggregate all of the stuff into one place. We'll get to that. We'll see how Twitch goes down. We haven't had a huge demand for it, but it was free, and I thought, why not? It might make some people's lives easier. So there you go. If you want to buy any of our merchandise, you can at vipergraphics.co.uk. Just go to that webpage, scroll down, you'll find all the ProSynth Network stuff. Stick your order in there with Andy, and he'll get those knocked up for you. Kent's wearing one of our hoodies. I'm not wearing any of it. I'm just wearing my DX1 shirt again. And those that were watching Kent's show yesterday thinking, oh, smelly git, doesn't change his T-shirt. I wore a different one today, but this was the one I picked up because I couldn't find my bloody ProSynth Network.
You've been sleeping in that because it says DX1 on it.
I know. I have got a bit of a DX1 thing at the moment, with good reason. So, and of course, if you want to donate to the show, because we do rely on all of your donations to keep us going, it pays all the bills, keeps the electric on, keeps the stream going, and all that kind of stuff, then you can do that in a number of ways. Of course, you can just donate to us at PayPal, and there's the address. The link is in the description below. But of course, if you're watching on YouTube, you can use Super Chat and Super Stickers. If you're watching after the event on YouTube, you can use the thanks button. All of it is fantastic. Every penny is gratefully received, and to everyone that's donated so far, whether it's once or whether it's multiple times, we are super, super grateful. And it's all your fault that we're carrying on, because you're paying us to kind of do it. If the money ran out, we'd have to say, pfft. And yeah, so it's all your fault. There we go. That's all the boring stuff out of the way. Let's get in. Oh, before let's just remind everyone, we had the GPU guys on last week, and they were absolutely fantastic. And they've been commenting on their episode, last week's episode. So if you still have questions for GPU audio and you haven't signed up yet, you can put your questions there, or you can actually sign up for them. There's the link. It's gpu.audio/ProSynth Network, and that gets you into the beta access for their little pack of GPU-powered plugins, effects plugins. And if you join that program and you report a bug and that bug is confirmed and then fixed, you will be entitled to get early access to the beta of the Synth that they announced last week on this show called Major. And my word, did that blow up or what? Because we were getting covered in computer music, music radar. We were across all the kind of news channels. It was like, Pro Synth Network show. It's fantastic. It was really good. So huge thanks to GPU Audio for announcing that and giving us a little bit of exposure, shining the light on us a little bit, which is super grateful. So thank you. But yeah, go there.
Waggoo's got his chuffs out again.
So this is where I need to keep an eye on things. Where is that? That's whizzed by. Oh, there we go. Super sticker. Thank you very much, Wagyu. Lovely stuff. Thank you very much, sir. Oh,
another one.
Blimey. He's doing it in increments.
Yeah, keep them coming.
Yeah, is the next one going to be 2? 4, 3, 2, 1? No, I don't know.
Anyway, should go the other way.
Yes.
More.
Yeah. No, in fact, it's just like anything, whether it's chuffs or dollars or yen or pounds or whatever. We'll take all currencies. We're not fussy, but thank you ever so much, Wagyu, as always, being super generous. And thanks to everyone else in the chat room for joining us. Thanks to our moderators. I know I can see Ben from Musings in the chat. I don't know. Have we got any of the other mods in?
Andrew is in there. Synth is in there.
Oh, yeah, lovely. Excellent stuff. Yep. So thank you to our moderators who look after our chat. And hopefully they won't have... Look at him. Thank you. He's just teasing now. He's just doing it in little increments. To keep
now 20.
Toes. Yeah, now 20.
Go on, push him.
No, I don't like to do that. That's like cap in hand.
I'll do it.
All right, you do it, yeah.
I'll do it.
That's my
shame.
Job. Yeah, because last night on your show, what a spam attack in the chat. And we ended.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
It was horrendous, and me and Andy were trying to keep on top of it, and in doing so, we accidentally banned was it Homegrown and Cresshead. We kind of things moved too fast, so thankfully we got that sorted out. So hopefully that won't happen, but our mods should be on the case. Right, okay, well let's get into it because there is a lot of news. And I suppose, like everyone else, we've got to start with one with one company. Mr. Bumbles always was. Thanks, Jim. Ban him quick. I thought it was Mr. Bungles, or was it Bumbles? I don't know. We'll have to go back and watch. So back to the news. The big news, I guess, this week was Arturia did. I think it was like the first time that they had done something like this, like almost an Apple-esque presentation where they, came on screen and presented, item after item, and ended up with the big thing, which we're going to start with. I didn't. It was a little bit rough around the edges, shall we say, but it got the message across. And I thought Sebastian, who demonstrated this thing that we're about to talk about, I don't know what he's on, but I want some. Because he was just so into it. It was incredible. But let's have a look at this first thing here. So this is the new synth, the new hardware synth from Arturia, and it's called the MiniFreak. Here it is. That's not bad, that at all. It sounds amazing, but then as it's the kind of the big brother of the MicroFreak, which I've got one of those, and it's incredibly good. and the sounds you can get out of it are amazing. This is just more of the same. It's 6-voice polyphonic. It's also paraphonic. That brought Mark Doty out yesterday. It does monophonic as well, but it's got kind of an algorithmic synthesizer. It's got digital oscillators. It's got analog filters. It has these wonderful kind of manipulation techniques and wave folding and the modulation matrix that's in there as well. I mean, it really is a very powerful synth. And now with polyphony and everything, it just sounds huge. And people started really losing their collective shit over this, which I guess is kind of understandable. Lots of people comparing it to the Hydrasynth Explorer, which I think is a little unfair and maybe like apples and oranges a bit. Not entirely sure they are comparable. Yes, they're kind of small keyed synthesizers. This is let's just bring this up like that. There we go. It's slim keys. So they are mini keys, but they're slim mini keys as opposed to other types of mini key. It doesn't have poly aftertouch, and isn't it wonderful that we expect things like to have poly aftertouch these days? But it's this compact 37 key with these sliders to the left of the keyboard in place of wheels. It's got full MIDI connectivity, USB connectivity. I believe it's got gate, CV and gate on the back as well. Audio input. That begs the question: are they going to do the same with this as they did with the MicroFreak and release an edition 6 months down the line that maybe features a vocoder mic? I mean, there's formant stuff in here as well. I mean, it really is. The specification is incredible, and it's a great layout. An easy kind of UI to get into. $599 is the price, although I think I saw Thomann doing it for $529 on pre-order. Stock should be delivering in the next few weeks. What do you reckon? Do you like that?
I'm not a massive fan of the Arturia sound, I'll be honest with you. But that said, yeah, it does sound pretty cool, doesn't it? But I think I got a couple of things that sort of like fill the hole that this is attempting to fill. So, like I say, I got the Hydra and the Pro 3 kind of cover it all for me. But obviously, if you haven't got them, this is going to do the trick.
Yeah.
But there's this tone to the Arturias.
Yes.
That's not my cup of tea.
I know some people say that, like, they talk about the brute stuff, like the matrix brute, the poly brute. They say the brute oscillators, and yeah, I get that. But then Arturia seem to be forging their own path rather than trying to be like everybody else. And
yeah, that's fair dues.
I think for every detractor, there's an opposite of that.
I mean, it certainly does that. It's sort of, shall we say, it's going down a dark road that I don't want to follow. Basically, I'd rather go down a different dark, dank road. So, I mean, no, I get it. The price is relatively keen.
Yes.
It seems, it's gonna fill the hole.
The MicroFreak, I think the white MicroFreak, which came with the microphone, whereas the original one didn't. I think that's about it was around 300, 350. So this is only like another 150 on top, and you're getting a ton of stuff more. So I think they've priced it pretty well. And obviously, it's if it's anything like the MicroFreak, it's mostly plastic, but good quality stuff. I mean, it's not cheap at all. But I mean, if you look at all those oscillator modes, there's just so much variety in there. And of course, it does feature a whole bunch of stuff inside from the likes of Noise Engineering, I believe, are in there. Sorry if I'm scrolling too fast for everyone. But I'm trying to find that bit that said where it's got Noise Engineering stuff and what's the other company that they are? Somebody will tell me in the chat, I'm sure. It's the open source stuff whose name escapes me again. I'm floundering. Someone, come on, chat, do your job. Help me out here. It did say somewhere. No, it's gone again. But yes, lots of stuff in there, and I need to correct myself. It doesn't have CV. It has the clock in and out that Arturia use. So yeah, you can connect it to other things. Noise engineers, yeah, but no, sorry, David. There was another company. They do those Eurorack modules. What's the lady that does all that coding, that DSP coding? Mutable. Thank you, Dieter. Thank you very much indeed. Mutable Instruments. A lot of their codes in there as well. So thank you very much for that. I'm very keen on this. I have been speaking to Arturia the last few days and begging them to send me one, but apparently they're not. They haven't got many around. I know Robin Vincent got one. Swine. But yeah, I might have to pop round and steal it. But yeah, this looks amazing, and it's got a lot of people excited. But of course, that wasn't the only thing that Arturia announced. When was it? Tuesday, I think it was. They announced some other stuff, and this one I think you might have more of an opinion on. I don't know if you've been able to download the demo yet, but let's play the video and let people hear what this. No, that's the wrong thing. You see, it's a relaxed thing. I've had a really stressful week. That's my excuse. Here we go. Here's the video, so you can have a listen and a watch of this. Go. The next one in their Augmented series, we've had strings, we've had voices, I think. Now we've got piano. It's a Steinway Model D that they've sampled, and then the whole thing with this Augmented stuff is you have the piano stuff on the one hand, and then on the other hand you have lots of deep synthesis stuff, and it's all about blending it together. And I don't know about you, but there is something nice about a piano blended with other things and kind of made to sound piano-esque, but a little less piano-y, like, because obviously the piano has a very distinctive singular kind of sound, although different manufacturers have different slightly tones to them. But come on then, you like your pianos, I know that.
I like me pianos, normally with the Augmented stuff, you can have, like you say, you have all these additional kinds of sounds and tones and effects that you put to the sound. But what's important about them is that the actual core material is good to start with, if you follow. Yes. So the piano itself is really, really nice sounding. So yeah, when you want to add some sort of like high frequency or some manipulation or mangler to the sound when you need to, it's there to do it. But it's also a very, very decent piano, even played just straight. Yeah, like the Augmented strings. The Augmented strings is in its, should we say, unfettled condition is beautiful sounding. So, yeah. So it's pretty good. So that way it kind of fits, all sizes. So
yes,
people want to play with strings but don't want them to sound like strings. It'll do it. Yeah.
There's always been a market for piano, combination piano sounds, because even back in the 90s there were instruments that had a core piano sound, and then some complementary stuff that you could sit underneath it, like strings mainly. So this kind of expands on that. But I really like the interface on these, because it can be very, very simple, as you can see there, with just this kind of morph knob in the center, and then a couple of effects tweakers and color tweakers and motion and tuning stuff around the edge. But if you want to get into it, then there is an advanced panel that gives you detailed control over each layer. So you can mess around, there's granular effects, and there's all sorts of tuning and stuff that you can do to the actual samples themselves. And it is really, it does sound incredibly good. And there's a dearth of presets in there that get you going, along the way. But yeah, it's a fantastic sounding thing, and keenly priced again. It's just €99 introductory price if you buy it now, but if you own any of the others, I believe you get a reduction, as Arturia want to do. There's that detailed kind of interface. But yeah, you can get it for less if you own previous stuff, but they're also doing a bundle of all three for $199, and again, the bundle price is discounted depending on what you already own, so they're doing things pretty fair. There's the Steinway all mic'd up, so they have really gone to town in sampling that thing, and then mixing it up with all sorts of other things. So yes, it's a very, very. I was a little bit dubious about this Augmented series when it first came out. I thought, it just don't know, didn't sound too inspiring. But as they've gone on, they've clearly got a plan for this. It's I'm warming to it, shall we say.
I do want to see more experimentation with these, though, where they do things like dropping marbles directly onto the strings and stuff, and recording that.
I think they did some treatments on here, because that's one of my favourite pianos, is the Ircam, or Ircam, however you want to pronounce it, prepared piano, which was a UVI thing, and they did all sorts of different preparations, screws and ebows and marbles or balls or whatever it was on the strings, and you can get some really very unique sounds. Who was it who used to be, who was like the proponent? Was that John Cage?
It wouldn't surprise me.
That was really into prepared pianos. Interesting stuff. Ben from Musings in the chat says he's waiting for augmented kazoos. Hey, you never know.
It's coming.
Yeah,
you can guarantee it's coming somewhere. It'll probably be labs.
Yeah. Have they done a kazoo? I don't know. Wouldn't surprise me. I can't remember.
It must be on the cards. Must be.
Yeah. But yeah, that would be interesting. But yes, augmented piano. It's just it's a hugely deep and detailed thing. Works on all platforms, comes as a plugin, and no doubt will be included in V Collection at some point in its next iteration, which I guess, I wonder if that must be on the cards fairly soon. I can't remember when 9 came out, but 10 must be on its way at some point. But yes, that was number 2 of Arturia's announcements, and there was more. And the next thing that they announced, I'm not doing it in any kind of chronological order, but the next thing on my list was an interesting one. And if I can just find the little video, here we go. Let's have a watch of this. This is MiniLab 3. There you go, MiniLab 3 Universal MIDI controller. It's a small thing. It's a pretty thing. It's got 8 rotaries, 8 pads, 4 faders, USB-C power. It has the full-size MIDI out on there as well. A pedal input. Lots of fancy coloured things on there. Of course, one of the great things about the Arturia MIDI controllers is they blend with the Arturia software very, very well. They're kind of instantly recognised, and everything kind of comes auto-mapped to V Collection. And it fits in your back pocket. Well, maybe not your back pocket, but your backpack.
You have to wear the special trousers.
Yes, the special ones for those. But yeah, kind of a nice little thing. If music on the move or a small rig, whether you're doing something like an EMOM and you just need a little controller, or you're going on holiday and you're by the pool and you want to knock out your next banger. This is it. And it comes with a nice little bundle of software as well. It comes with some light versions of things, some full versions of things, and some sort of short-term subscription stuff. So it really is, to get you going, it really does, get you started if that's your thing. And again, remarkably affordable. I think they were looking. It says here €99, which is crazy cheap, really, for a controller of its quality. It's a short range, but that's the compromise you make. And apparently made out of at least 50% recycled materials, which is kind of the thing that companies like to tell you about these days. So I guess you're probably the wrong person to ask about making music on the move, unless you take one in the back of the Mustang.
Well, for me, making music on the move is sometimes just taking a keyboard to bed.
All right.
So this would be ideal, actually, in many ways. Would it replace my beat step?
Yeah.
They're very closely related, aren't they?
They are, but I don't think the MiniLab has any of that built-in capability, because not $99 or euros. I don't think. It just comes with a whole range of software. But I mean, I think it has a market, and maybe that's not everybody's market, but it's certainly a lovely little thing. And for 99, I need to check that price. It does say €99 on the website. That's ridiculously cheap. I mean, I've got a 25 key controller, and it's a Behringer UMA 25S, which is like a red thing, sparkly kind of red thing, and it's got half action keys on it, which aren't particularly nice to play, but they're full size keys. There's 25 notes, and it's also got a built-in audio interface, which is incredibly handy, because then you don't have to lug a second object around. It's a little bigger, but it's got, and it's not, it's not a Focusrite interface, but it's more than perfectly capable. It has an audio input on there as well.
Yeah.
So these little controls are nice, but that was more expensive than this when I bought it many years ago. I don't think they do it, and it had guitar strap lug nuts on the side. So if you really wanted to get up on stage with a small, shiny red Behringer controller, you could.
Yeah.
But talking of audio interfaces, as we just were, that was the fourth and final thing that was announced in this event. And I say it was announced. They have kind of been announced already, but they're basically saying now shipping. And that's the Arturia MiniFuse audio interface. Now, I am very keen on one of these, because if you look, I mean, the size of this thing is, it is mini. It's not very deep at all, but 4 ins, 4 outs, and high quality ins and outs. So you've got 2 combo inputs on the front, 2 jack inputs on the back, and then 4 jack outputs on the rear. 2 headphone outputs on the front with individual volume controls for each of those headphone outputs, plus a main volume control. And it's got a USB port with a USB hub, so you can connect, I think it's 2 USB devices to this, and full-size MIDI in and out as well, which is pretty incredible for what's it, €219. I think that kind of puts it in focus, right? Price range. I know the 2i4 is about 130, 140. So I guess the 4i4 is probably more in this range. But lots of people rave about the MiniFuse. Sorry, not the Audio Fuse, which is their the bigger one. But this is an interesting. And again, you get a whole bunch of software thrown in for nothing. Arturia Effects, an Analog Lab intro, an Ableton Live Light, and a few other bits and bobs. But yeah, a really nice, compact, portable interface, bus powered. Looks really interesting. I'm very keen on that because my Focusrite's good, but I just need a few more ins and outs, and that looks quite a way to do it. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I'd have one of these for the workshop.
Yeah.
Definitely. In black, obviously, because if it was in white, it looked like it'd been dragged through the mud after about a week.
Yeah, I'm never keen on white equipment because it does get grubby.
Yeah,
it only has to get very
fast.
slightly grubby for it to look awful, whereas a darker thing can get quite grubby before you even notice it. So.
Yeah, exactly. But that's also, again, a useful little unit that you can just, take with you anywhere you want to go. Connect.
Well, this in a MiniLab and your laptop, and you're there.
Yeah, you're off, mate. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I would have liked to have seen it below the €200.
Yeah, 199 would have been a nicer price to see. The one at the front helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't feel so stingy that way.
But again, we're in a world where everything's going up, particularly anything that uses components.
Yeah,
I suppose. Just the way of the world.
Indeed.
But yeah, MiniFuse 4 is now shipping, €219. I'm sure places like Thomann and others are going to do others. But there's also, don't forget, there's MiniFuse 2 if you just want the 2 ins, 2 outs. So that's an even more compact version. And then there's also MiniFuse 1, which is a diddy little thing. But yeah, if that's all you need, just want to plug in a microphone or a guitar in, you're golden. And of course, if you want something a bit more substantial, then you can go for the Audio Fuse, and there's a smaller one of those and a bigger one of those too. I think my next audio interface might be an Arturia one. When that time comes.
We shall see.
Indeed. So yeah, busy day from Arturia the other day, and lots of good stuff. And the buzz around MiniFreak was palpable. I was watching the live stream, and there was lots of comments scrolling by, and then as soon as the MiniFreak came on, because it kind of got leaked about an hour or two beforehand, there was I think it was Chicago Music Exchange were the first to break embargo, because it was embargo till about 6. Well, actually, no. So Arturia sent the embargoes out, and they said the video goes live at 6, and then your embargoes are at 6:15 for one of the things, 6:20 for something else, and so on and so forth. Because I'd written up the article for Gear News, and I'm just like, I got my editor on Discord, and I'm saying, when are we going? Do we go now? Do we break the embargo? What are we doing? The other people are talking, the pictures going around everywhere. What do we do? And we both kind of agreed that we ought to, observe the embargo. So we did. But yeah, it kind of got announced. So there's lots of kind of hype building up. And then, when it dropped, it was just like everyone was going, wow, that's amazing. So yeah, the cheapest I've seen that is $529 on Thomann at the moment. Although they don't have stock. Unsurprisingly. There you go. Right, let's do a couple of little things. I say little things. This was announced this week. I'm not going to play the video because it's about 12 minutes long, the intro video for this. They didn't do a nice little press-friendly 1-minute tease, but then I guess with something like Strymon's Big Sky, you're not going to get... You need time to appreciate those evolving shimmers. But yeah, Big Sky is now a plugin, and it's not a cheap one either. It's $199. Actually, no, it's $209 in the UK. But here's the thing: so when you go on the website, you've got this bit in the corner here, and it says download options. Buy now for $199. There's a 7-day free trial. Big whoop. There's a code redemption function, and then outside the USA, click here to purchase. And then there's this big disclaimer about how they're not set up to sell outside of the US. So please go to either GB Music and Sound in Canada or Gear for Music in the UK, and you can buy from there. It seems a very odd way of doing things. I mean, why? Why not just put a UK or EU UK link and just have it automatically, chuck them to Gear for Music? I don't know. Very strange. But obviously this is, for all intents and purposes, as much as I can tell, this is the pedal in software, and of course the pedal is a phenomenally successful and popular piece, which costs probably more than twice what the plugin costs. But the plugin isn't cheap. I mean, it's $199 for, I was going to say one trick pony. It's not really a one trick pony, but it's what it is, and it's $199, and you can get a lot more for your buck. Particularly when you think about Valhalla, who do similar sorts of things.
Yeah.
A lot less money.
Yeah. But in their defence, compare this up against UAD.
Of course.
Also, there's the whole thing of, if you have the pedal, you can only use it once at a time.
Okay.
As opposed to several of them all running different presets per tracks and all the rest of it. So is it is pricey. I think it has to be because the hardware still exists. If they started doing this for $29.99 through the skull, really, isn't it? So
you just reminded me, actually. I'll come back to it, but yes, you're right. You don't want to cannibalize your core market, which is the hardware, because I don't own any Strymon stuff, but I know people who do. I mean, Dave Spears was banging on about Strymon years ago. Yeah. And they are, you could kill someone with one of these things if you just bop them around the back of the head. They're solidly built, and the quality of the algorithms and the software inside is incredible. And loads of people have enjoyed the hardware, and now those of us who maybe can't stump up $450-500 and want to use multiple instances. I don't know what kind of CPU processing is going on, how much it would soak up of the your CPU or GPU if that was to come along the way. But I mean, as Yannisetta said, you can get the Valhalla stuff. Wrong quote. There we go. Vintage Verb, Room, and Shimmer is less than one of those together. So it's interesting. Now, Dom's just said in the chat here, and this is and what you said reminded me that I forgot to mention about the Arturia stuff. So he's saying that if you bought the pedal, it would be nice if they gave you the plug-in as well. And I forgot to mention that with the Arturia MiniFreak, when you buy the MiniFreak, you get MiniFreak V, which is a full one-to-one software recreation of the MiniFreak in software as a plugin. So you can throw that into your DAW and either use it standalone with just the software and get the same results, or use it as a controller for the hardware, or vice versa. It's an incredibly cool thing to do. You can't get MiniFreak V separately for the reason that you mentioned, cannibalizing your own market. But I completely forgot to mention that, and it's quite an important thing, I think, for that. And I agree with Dom. I agree with Dom. We should have a poster like they used to have. Was it Nick Clegg? Wasn't it? I agree with Nick. I agree with Dom.
Write it on the side of a bus.
Yeah, for that money, it just gives you the ability to do that. Lovely as it is. Now, coming on to that, let's talk about another effects unit or effects plugin that was launched this week, because it has been coming thick and fast. And I think maybe this represents even more value for money. So Moog made some incredible effects units called the MoogerFoogers, or the MoogerFoogers, or however you want to pronounce it. Is it MoogerFooger? MoogerFooger? Mooger? I don't know. We'll have to ask Michelle. Well, not that she's have any opinion. But anyway, blithering on. They made these pedals. They were fantastic. lots of people like them, and they were used by guitarists, keyboard players, everyone. I've seen videos of Tara Bush from My Speak Machine putting vocals through. I mean, they were so universally loved and used, but they stopped making them for whatever reason that might be. However, now you can get them as plugins. You can buy them direct from Moog, and you get 7 MoogerFoogers. Here we go, sideways scrolling website. So you get the 101S low pass filter, the 102S ring modulator, the 103S 12-stage phaser, the 104S analog delay, the 105S mirth, the 107S freak box, and the 108S cluster flux. You have to be careful how you say that. Yeah. But I mean, I've never met anybody that's had a bad word to say about the MoogerFooger units at all, and now they're all completely available as plugins, a single package of all of those, all 7 of those, for 159 UK, and I think 149 US. Now throw that up against the Strymon Big Sky, and now the Strymon looks even less value for money, in my opinion. I don't know. Do you have any MoogerFoogers? Do you get your hands on any of those to repair at all?
Yeah, they're always coming in. Yeah.
Common folks,
if I had any negative things to say about any of them, it would have been the 12-stage phaser. Doesn't sound like the original one.
Okay,
quite a disappointment. But other than that, fine pedals.
Because I was watching Ranz's show the other week. He's got a white one, the pedal, and I think, was that the phaser? I can't remember now, but it sounded amazing when he was using it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I know that some artists absolutely swear by them, and they change hands for reasonable amounts of money. Certainly the originals do.
Yeah. I tend to swear at them.
Yeah. Supported across most plug-in platforms, VST3 audio units and AAX. Does require iLock to be activated, although you can use your host computer as your iLock key. You don't need the USB key, and of course you can use the cloud system as well. So a physical dongle is not required. But yeah, it's nice to see the MoogerFoogers back in software, and actually, for when you consider what you'd have to pay for the hardware ones, that's stupid money, really. 150 odd quid. Very interesting. Yeah, there's a demo. Let's play the demo, actually, because it wasn't a bad little demo. Where are we? See if we can get this up quickly. It's kind of a multi-instrumental. Although, yeah, actually, I wanted to show this because there's a moment in this video that made me kind of wince, and you'll know what it is when you see it. So here we go. This is Ty Segall. When he gets to the mini mode, that I went, ooh! Whacked that a bit, didn't he? Yeah, you get the idea. They're quite transformative in what they do. They're quite unique, and yes, it's just nice to have them back available. I think a lot of people will be snapping these up because you just can't buy the hardware anymore. So, yeah, interesting stuff. Available from Moog, moogmusic.com. They are 159 UK or 149 US, I think, is the price of those, and they're out now. So there we go. We've done Big Sky and we've done Moog. Let's see, what else have we got here? Oh yeah, this is an interesting one. No, that's the wrong button. I'm not doing very well today. I need to go to broadcasting school, don't I?
Bit late, isn't it?
Has everybody got a drink? Because we're going to we haven't mentioned them in a long while. It's WIDI.
Yay.
Yeah, there we go. Down the hatch.
Lovely.
So they've been quiet for a little while, of old CME. So we had WIDI Masters, which were the little plugs. Then we had WIDI Buds, which were the USB sticks. And we had WIDI Jacks that went into TRS sockets and others. And they've been working on this for a little while, but they've just started taking pre-orders now, and we'll be shipping in a couple of weeks. The WIDI Thru6 BT, which is basically a MIDI through splitter. Essentially, it's got so you got a Bluetooth in and out. So it's got WIDI built in, so you can do Bluetooth in and out. Then you've got one physical MIDI in, and 5 physical MIDI throughs. Plus, there's also a USB connection for power and everything else as well. So it's 2 in, 6 out. They're claiming future-proof 32-bit processor with incredibly high speed and very low latency and almost zero jitter, which we know that they can do. I mean, I certainly, I've never had a problem with the WIDIs that I use around the house and in the studio. But yeah, lots of different options, and they do a non-BT or a non-WIDI version of this, so it doesn't have the Bluetooth. It's just the physical stuff. So if you don't want the Bluetooth stuff, you don't have to have it. But yeah, it's available now, and get this. I mean, it's a crazy price. If you pre-order now, it should be $69.99, which I think is pretty reasonable for a 2 in 6 out through box. But if you buy now, it is only going to cost you, where are we? Lost it now. There we go. $48.30. And if you live in any of the following countries: United States, United Kingdom, Germany, Canada, Australia, Italy, Spain, France, Japan, and Mexico, free shipping. It's not bad. Because that was one of the problems with the original WIDI stuff, was that I bought all mine directly from CME, and they shipped from Singapore. So I'd had the option of quite a high shipping fee and wait 2 or 3 weeks, or get it within a week but pay extraordinarily high shipping. Now they're just basically doing it shipping free. I don't know whether I need one of these. It's one of those things, do I buy it because I want to support the company? I do want to support the company. I have supported the company quite substantially, as have you, with your acquisitions. But I don't know whether a through box is quite what I need. But I guess there are people. Would this appeal to hardware jammers? People in the chat, tell us.
Yeah, I mean, because it's it's a good way of getting your clock evenly across a few units.
And if it's if what they claim is true with this kind of super fast processor with minimal, I mean, we already know that the Bluetooth stuff can give you 3 milliseconds with a decent range.
Disclaimer: will not work with Windows.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean they're saying it should work with everything.
That should, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's when you get anywhere near Bluetooth.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've had absolutely no problems. You've had a bunch of stuff, but it was Windows more than this
every
fault,
time,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, but they're claiming compatibility across all the Windows and Mac and iOS and Android. Of course, you use the app to configure it, so it's nice and easy to do. But yeah, close to zero latency and jitter. Lots of standard MIDI stuff and wireless MIDI stuff, and just a very useful box. I would like to know how useful that might be for somebody doing hardware jamming, clocking all this stuff together. Whether that makes use of that. iPad users as well. I mean, that would be a really cool thing to control a whole bunch of stuff from your iPad. I did try setting up an old-fashioned MIDI rig where I had one controller keyboard that went into the sequencer, and then out of the sequencer I then daisy chained using in through about half a dozen things, and I got to about 6 or 7 things in the chain, and then things started to go a little bit wonky. Because they were old as well. I think if I had tried to daisy chain 6 Hydrasynths, I probably wouldn't have had a problem. But when you're looking at old Yamaha gear and stuff,
the latencies are quite significant.
Yes, got a little wonky, which is why things like the QX1 has got 8 MIDI outputs, one for each instrument, or one for each unit in the TX8.
Yeah, you got a good chance of everything arriving at roughly the same time.
Exactly. Yes.
We've even had this with cable lengths as well.
Oh yes, yeah. Got to have a good length.
Oh yes,
or not good length. Yeah.
Matron
Jim says this would be very useful for him. I think because Jim does a lot of the EMOM stuff. Did one last night, I believe. So an interesting thing, and of course, it's $48 basically with free shipping for most people. Most large, dense populated areas like the US, the UK, and most of Europe as well. So, and I believe they are doing more deals with Amazon to get them, to be sold through Amazon worldwide.
Yeah, you tend to get them quicker actually.
Yes,
indeed, because they tend to have them in stock.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So if you are interested in that, then just go to cme-pro.com, and then you'll find that on the homepage, or just go to products and you'll find that there. And as I said, they also do a non-BT version, which doesn't have the WIDI in, which is that one there, which has 1 physical in, 5 physical throughs, and that's only a mere $27.30. Again, free shipping on that as well. So nice to see CME sort of doubling down and cracking on. I think they've got some other things in the works, so that'll be interesting. But there we go. So CME back with more WIDI based stuff. Take a drink. There we go. And go for it. Go and knock them out. Right. Let's see. What's the time? I can't see the time. It's almost coming up to 8 o'clock. Right. Let's talk auctions, shall we? Because we were discussing this before we came on.
Yes.
Before we came on to the air.
Yes.
There is the next edition of the VEMIA Auction on the Sphere Music website. The wonderful Peter Forrest, who has recently just come out of hospital after some rather serious time inside a hospital, has now come out and feeling better, and has started putting the next edition of the VEMIA Auction on. Now, the VEMIA Auction, this is the 55th VEMIA Auction. Starts on November 5th, runs for a week, and everything finishes on Saturday the 12th, and then anything that doesn't sell, there is a second chance Sunday on the next day, on the 13th. So if things didn't sell, you can maybe have another go at buying some of that stuff. But it always throws up some amazing stuff, and Peter does try and put some of the most interesting bits on the front page. So, for example, there's a Musonics Mini Moog for $8,955 starting price. These are all starting prices, by the way. There is a Trumansburg modular for $35,000. It's cheap at half the price. It's a very early Synthi AKS. You're having trouble with one of those at the moment, aren't you?
Yes, I am actually. Yeah.
Yes. Have you managed to sort it yet?
Well, yeah, up to a point. Apart from where I stamped on it. Yeah.
Fair enough.
No, it's all right. No, it's coming along, but I think there's delamination on one of the boards, which is causing lots of problem. Yeah.
Well, 17.5 is the starting price for that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This one caught my eye. I'm a bit, I have a thing for the SP 1200 and similarly the modern interpretation of that, whether it's the Rossum one or the Isla Instruments version. The wonderful SP 1200 there for $44.50 starting price, and it's got a Gotek drive fitted in there, and it has been sort of serviced and brought up to a very high standard of quality there. That was a nice one. VX600 That's not cheap. Just under 1,300 starting price. Interesting little analog polysynth there. But there were also a few other interesting bits. We both commented on. Let me just see if I'm still signed in here. I might be. I've got my. I have to say, the one thing I don't like about the VEMIA auction is the website. It's a little antiquated. I'm not a big fan of it, but look, it's it is what it is. Here we go. So yeah, what am I looking at here? Yeah, so the one that we sort of went ooh is a 3200 Synclavier.
Yeah.
That has a very cool starting price of just 2,950, which, when you think about what these things were originally worth back in the day, is not bad. But yeah, it's a full system. Apparently, it's got some power issues. But yeah, look at those things. Incredible machines. That'd be quite an interesting thing to resurrect. Look at that.
That will turn into a copy machine.
Yeah. But yeah, it comes I think with everything. That 3200 obviously doesn't come with the keyboard, but that's not a problem because it's MIDI capable. Yeah. Sold as seen though, needs some servicing is the description on that one. But yeah, that's an interesting one. Another interesting one that I'm very interested in, I mentioned this on your thing last night. There's a lovely Korg 700S, which, as I've mentioned before, was the first synthesizer I actually got my grubby little mitts on in high school. And that's only starting price of 750, which I think is rather reasonable, but it will
that's where it starts.
Yeah, it will undoubtedly go up because it's a very sought after machine. But I will be keeping an eye on that one, and
but there's a lot of things on there that I want to get, mainly because of spare parts.
Yes,
obviously, all the obvious reasons. So
you mentioned there was a Roland.
Yeah, the EP20. I want the keys.
Just the keys.
Just the keys. Yeah, because it fits, System 700, JP4, blah blah blah. Anything, most of the Rolands from that era.
The one thing I do like about VEMIA auctions is that the prices are far more realistic than any other auction
Yeah,
site.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I can look. Here you go. Little quiz for you.
Go on then.
All right. What is the difference between this TR999, as you can see, and
lovely.
and this TR909?
I don't know.
Both fully working.
Yeah. I don't know.
Roughly about the same year. Roughly.
Yeah.
You know this?
I don't know. It's going to be something weird and wonderful, but I'm just going to say one's US voltage, the other one's UK. I don't know.
Both US.
Oh, both US. Okay.
Yeah. The one down there is 2,900, and this is 6,800.
Fuck. Sorry. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yes.
So literally identical machines. 4,000.
Yeah, and that's the difference between the two.
Wow.
Nothing else at all.
That's bonkers.
The market is very, very, very volatile, and people need to be careful what they're buying and what they think they're buying.
Yes.
And this whole thing of because there's this trait now where people will put something up for an ridiculous amount of money, and what they're actually doing is trying to falsify the market. Go, oh yeah, well there's a CS80 for $153,000. So when one comes up for 80, they go, oh, that's much cheaper than that one. That's probably that's a bit of a bargain. And although that's simplified, and you think, well, nobody's going to be that stupid. People are.
Yeah, people are. Yeah,
and they think that is much cheaper. And once that sells for 80, that's the new price.
Yeah, exactly. It is a scary thing. I mean, I was talking to Howard, the guy that did the power supply on the DX1, and I was talking about the DX1 prices and the fact that about a year or so ago, a mutual friend of ours bought a DX1 and paid £14,000 for it. Now, I thought at the time, you know what, it's a lot of money. Not everyone's going to have that money, but I think for one of 140 examples of a particular synth, and it was in very good condition, it was fully operational, I thought that's not a bad price. You then see them being sold on Reverb for $150,000, or not being sold, should I say? I need to get
at least put up for
being offered for $150,000.
Well, one has just recently sold for 22.
Wow!
So
that's a chunk,
and part of that is because there's one for 153.
Yes,
you can't get away from it. It's part of that influence.
Yeah, and also
within that sphere,
with synthesizers of that rarity, scarcity, caliber, whatever you want to say, there's more often than not with synths like that, there is a bit of history maybe behind it. Maybe there was somebody famous once owned it or something. So that that cachet automatically jumps up the price a little bit. But to go from 14,000 a year or so ago to 22, I mean, that's a big hike. And like you say, that is because somebody's just pissing in the wind, and it's because again we know someone. And I'm not going to mention any names, and I'm not disputing I'm not calling into question their integrity at all. And actually, I think what I'm about to say is probably a sensible thing to do. But they put stuff up for sale, and it is finger in the wind time. It's like, well, there's going to be somebody out there that might pay £50,000 for instrument X. I know that I could probably sell it for 20, but there might just be someone who's willing to pay 50 because they might be really desperate, or they might have been looking for one for ages, and this is the first one that comes up. And when it doesn't sell for 50, then they start chipping away, and eventually they come down, and somebody somewhere will get it for a reasonable price. But that does kind of inflate not the market so much, but the perception of the market.
Yeah, we see there's a lot of people coming into the market who actually know nothing about these machines at all.
I know, yeah.
And it's you got doctors and dentists and bankers and stuff like that, and they're looking for investments, yeah. And that's where a lot of these, another reason why you see a lot of these different pricings. Should a Jupiter 8 cost £27,000? No,
not at all.
Never. No.
But it's like the Fairlight I have downstairs in the garage at the moment. If anybody wants one, give me a bell. But its previous owner was, and I'm pretty sure I'm right, he was something in hedge fund managing or investment banking, well-heeled, and certainly made a very, very, very decent living, judging by the size of his property and the length of time it took for the gates to open to let me in. You could tell that there was, And he told me that he bought this from a producer in Nashville and had it shipped over from the US to the UK. He'd always wanted one. He'd got I would say a very mild interest in music technology and stuff. Certainly, not of the level that we find in these places.
Yeah.
But it was just bought because he'd always wanted one, and he had some money. And, I'm sure, I don't know if Ty is watching, he's probably busy, but Ty has said to us, and said to many people on many occasions, when it comes to April, you need to, or March, you need to maybe get rid of some money, otherwise you end up paying a ton of tax on it, so you just go out and buy equipment. And as you say, I think these vintage synthesizers are now coming into a time where they are articles of investment rather than somebody buying it to use on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's very easy to get drawn in.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Yeah. And the only way that the prices will come down is if nobody buys this stuff. But somebody always does. Because there's somebody with an itchy finger and too much money will come along, which is a shame. And this is what brings me back to VEMIA, that I think that the prices that they go for, certainly the asking prices of a lot of the stuff on there, the starting prices are very, very reasonable. Mm-hmm. And I think that's maybe because the bulk of customers on VEMIA are people who know what they're buying and they know how much something is actually worth. Because the DX1 sold at the last auction there for 12,000. A Series 2 Fairlight sold for about 12,500. And I consider that to be reasonable prices for both of those instruments.
Yeah. Yeah, well, November is always very busy for me because I get loads of people phoning up saying, "Oh, look, I bought this thing just recently and it doesn't work," or "This is hanging off," or "It didn't survive the shipping," or whatever. So
yes, yeah. I do enjoy when I'm flicking through the VEMIA auction and you see the descriptions and your name invariably pops up here and there, serviced by Kent Spong.
Yeah.
That adds to the price, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the benefit of that. I have to figure out something about that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was talking to Howard last night and just looking at various bits of equipment that I've got in here that I didn't pay the prices that they're asking these days. Yeah. Well, my FS1R, there's one of those being sold for $1,800.
Yeah,
I paid half that, which I thought was incredibly high for one of those when I bought it, but now they actually are being sold for $1,500 to $2,000.
Yeah. Well, this is the kind of market that's knocking on. I mean, I've got a Synth that I paid £500 for, and all it's done is sat in a corner and stopped dust from hitting the floor. And now they're going, "Oh yeah, that'll fetch 30." What?
Yeah.
No, somebody's asking 30.
Yes. And that's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
What somebody's asking, what it actually goes for.
Not really worth 10, are they? I mean, come on.
No.
So.
No, but there you go. So VEMIA is up. It's Sphere Music, SPHERE music.com. Go and check the site out. You do need to sign up for an account, but it's free and they do not spam you. All you get is you get an email to tell you that the auction is scheduled, and that's it. And so my only quibble is like the site layout is a little antiquated, a little bit 1990s. Thanks for the link in there, Ben. And also, as Peter adds stuff to the catalogue, you don't kind of get any notifications, and you have to literally go manually flick through the pages and remember where you were the last time you looked, because at the moment it's 16 pages of items. There's currently 384 items in the auction, and that will go up probably to at least double that by the time the auction goes live. But there's lots of really great stuff. I mean, there's manuals, there's sound cards, there's discs, there's software.
There's a lot of tat as well.
There is a lot of tat, and occasionally you can buy some cool stuff. I know he's in the chat. I don't know if he said goodbye yet because he only tends to pop in for his lunch break. But Manny, Dr. Synth, I bought a ton of his Sound Source Unlimited floppy discs, originals, still wrapped with the Argent's price sticker on. Got a drawer full of them, but they're all genuine originals, still in their shrink wrap. So I've had to gently slice the shrink wrap, take the disc out, make a backup of it, put it back, and then just store it away because pretty priceless things. But there's some stuff on there, so I'm looking at. That's what I tend to buy. It's just the little things, but maybe
there's a little Woolworths chord organ.
Oh yes,
for sale on there that I want because I need the motor out of it.
Was the vacuum cleaner packed up?
No, there's I've got a funny feeling it will just about fit inside that multi-monica.
Oh, of course, yes, you got that, haven't you?
Yeah, which is worth a shitload of money. So so we'll see.
Yeah,
I think it's up for about like £15 or something like that. So go, if it doesn't work out,
Yeah.
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie, indeed.
Bonnet
de douche.
Ain't it just like, mate?
The other thing you can get on there, and I don't know whether Ben at Musings picks any of these things up, but you can also get like vintage flyers and brochures and magazines and stuff on there. Sometimes, not all the time. Like there's a Moog leaflet on there as well.
Oh, you noticed that? Yeah, because I was going, I used to have one of them. I really missed that. Can I buy it? Shall I buy it again? I'm going, what's the matter with you, Ken? What the hell?
Yeah. 15 quid for an old piece of paper.
Yeah, stop it.
Yes, but there's some interesting stuff on there. Manny was just saying earlier that where was it? There's a VP1 case going for $3,000 in LA. I mean, you could probably get that for that because there's only going to be about 9 people who would be interested in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can't imagine that anybody would want to take a VL1 out and about. They're kind of precious things.
Well, it's like those Chroma front panel.
Yes,
it's on there as well, and I'm going. You never know.
Yeah.
But it just seemed a little bit sort of like, how much? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Manny's saying that he's finally thinking about re-releasing all of those sounds. I was pestering him about a year or so ago just to find out exactly what was made and where it was and how to get hold of this stuff. And I know that I believe he was using them as like inspirations for new sounds for things like Montage and Moog X. But seriously, if you are going to, I don't care about. I didn't invest a huge amount in those discs. They were pretty cheap for the bundles that I picked up. And if you do re-release them in their original formats, customer number 1 right here, for sure. So there we go. VEMIA auctions on spheremusic.com, and it launches on Saturday, November the 5th, bonfire night, when maybe we will set fire to our parliament. Oh, did I just say that out loud?
It won't burn.
It won't burn, no.
No, it's too damp.
Yeah. So yeah, that lasts for a week. So good luck with that, and have fun. And if you pick anything up of any interest, do let us know. Lady Aptitude has mentioned that yes, there is a V50 in the auction. And I am thinking it is on my list because it's a pretty good start price. See who else goes for that. Knowing my luck, it'll go for silly money, but
I'll rock it through the ceiling.
I quite fancy one of those. As Manny was telling me about the V70, which I think they only made like a few prototypes, which was like the bigger version of that, and apparently an amazing machine, but it never came to market. Little known fact. There you go. Right. What shall we do? Seeing as we're sort of taking a trip down memory lane, this was an interesting thing. I have thoughts on this. So, back in the day when electronic drums were the new thing, and Mr. Simmons came out with his hexagonal pads with their glossy, shiny backs and concrete rubber pads that you whacked and did your wrists in on. Everybody else started to get in on the game and started producing quirkier looking and better or worse sounding electronic drums. And Roland, because it's like it's their 50th anniversary or something, they've redone some of their electronic drums, and they look a little bit and sound a little bit like this. Anyway, this goes on for a while. and that is one of those things where I think the marketing department probably shelled out quite a bit of money for this, and then because they shelled out quite a bit of money, they couldn't not put it out there. I got bored of that after a couple of minutes, but that's just my particular taste. So they've brought back their electronic drums. Of course, Roland have been doing electronic drums for many years and are considered some of the sort of market leading e-drum types out there, with all different sorts of kits and wonderful sounds and brains and all that kind of stuff. But these, I mean, they are technically hexagonals, but they're kind of stretched hexagonal pads. Let's see if we can bring up the web page on here. These have all been. These are concepts. These aren't for sale at the moment. Who knows? It might come to be. But yeah, this is the D-Flux, and it comes in two different styles. You've got these black and red pads, and then you've got these silver and white ones, and they're multi-zone, so they've got edge triggers and center triggers. That really weird kick drum, which is like instead of hitting a mesh surface, it actually hits like a very large rubber band. I'm just trying to find a close-up shot of it. There you go. That's so yeah. It kind of you have the sensor there, but you get the feedback from these rubber bands, which I think is quite ingenious, but it's rather large, kind of a little bit unwieldy. But yeah, I mean, they're interesting looking things, a very retro sort of feel to them. Polyhedral, not hexagonal, polyhedral. Of course, the original kits looked a little bit like one of them. So they're certainly inspired by their predecessors in many ways. And of course, Roland have been doing this sort of thing for a very long time. Whether it's pads or whether it's the SDXs and the Octapads and all that kind of stuff, right through to the V-Drum series, which you can get in these full-size shells. So they kind of know what they're doing in that regard. But yeah, I think it was an interesting concept, and not entirely sure who this is aimed at. I think this is probably more of a performance type thing for somebody who's going for visual impact as well as a sonic thing. But yeah, interesting. Any thoughts on that one?
Well, every time I hear those drums, man, it's always a "You're gonna rue the day you done that, Grant." Every time,
Yes.
So
yeah,
but it's kind of like you got a new way of doing it, and it seems to be the same kind of engines behind it still.
Yeah, I imagine that the engines are probably they're chock full of the original sounds, but also they've probably got a whole bunch of other kind of new stuff in there as well. And I imagine I couldn't tell that the pads look like they're not made of the the original materials, so you've probably got a nicer feel to that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean these are concepts, so these aren't for sale. You can't buy these yet anyway. But yeah, an interesting thing. I always thought who was it? I think when we were talking about the new SPD Pro, SPD SX Pro the other week. I learned, never realised this, that basically an SPD drummer in India is a big, it's a quite a profitable career choice. You can look in the phone book and find SPD drummers because they're massive, absolutely massive out there. For for some reason it suits their way of making music, and there you go. There's a picture of a couple of guys there. It's specialist Octapad players.
That's funny. I always thought that Alesis had kind of sewn up the market.
Well, they certainly have in terms of price, and of course Alesis. There was lots of talk that Roland were going to sue Alesis apparently for breach of patent, but actually Alesis sued Roland and won for their pad design, or the internals of their pads.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've got Alesis, and their mesh head pads are fantastic. They're really, really good. And they're nowhere near as expensive as the Roland stuff.
Yeah.
However, where the Roland stuff does really come into its own is the drum brain that you get with a Roland has got really, really good sounds in, and you can put your own sounds in and all sorts of different stuff. It's modelled and everything. Whereas the Alesis stuff, the bulk of the range uses fairly cheap Medallia-based drum brains that have average sounds in, and that's about it. I think their Strike unit, the top of the range one's a little fancier, but I always use Superior Drummer for my sounds, so, and that's as good as anything. But yeah, interesting from Roland. Nice little concept, but there's a nice page about the history of Roland drums there. So if you go to roland.com and just have a look at Roland at 50 and find their stories, there's some interesting stuff. But it'll be interesting to see if the D-Flux, as it's called, makes it to market. I doubt it will. I don't know. Who knows? You never know. Roland never do what we expect them to do or what we'd like them to do. There you go. Yes. Right. Okay, that's Roland. Oh yes, this was announced. I think it was yesterday. So the MBOX is like an audio interface type thing that doesn't or didn't have a very good reputation, but AVID have brought it back with the MBOX Studio, which looks like a very cool audio interface with multiple inputs, lots of control surface technology. Will work very nicely with Pro Tools, but also it says that it will work very nicely with other DAWs. Let's just play the video here, because that kind of gives you an idea. It's one of those videos where they've got a band in to, create a track in, basically, and show you how this stuff is used. It's not a bad little number, actually. Had me stuck in my head for a couple of hours anyway. Here we go. MBOX Studio. Anyway, there we go. We probably got a copyright strike for that, but never mind. We'll contest it. So MBOX Studio comes with a whole bunch of connectivity. I'm just trying to find the pictures of the bloody thing that shows it. But where are we? Here we go. So 21 simultaneous inputs, 22 simultaneous outputs. I get a lot of that is digital. Goes right up to 192 kilohertz, 24-bit. Built-in DSP for effects, EQ, delay, reverb. There's a tuner in there. 4 mic preamps. 2 combo mic line inputs on the front panel, 2 on the back. 4 line inputs. 2 stereo monitor outputs, 2 headphone outputs. Yeah, I mean it's riddled with connectivity and pretty high specs, but it's also got a fairly high price of $899 for this unit. You do get a bunch of software. You get Pro Tools Studio 1-year subscription, Sibelius Artist, Melodyne 5 Essential, and a whole bunch of plugins as well. But yeah, I don't know. I guess again, this is a fairly focused market. This is I don't know whether it's a project studio type thing, small band type thing. It's $899. It's not. It's quite a chunk of cash.
Yeah.
However, seems to be better built than the previous ones, so I've heard.
Yes, I heard the original ones were a bit sort of like
flaky.
Yeah.
Oh, here you go. Here's some. Let's have some pictures of this. Let's get rid of that and bring in this, which is just here. So, yeah, that's the front view. You've got 2 headphone sockets on the front, along with 2 combo jacks there. At the back, quite a bit of connectivity there. So you've got main monitors, alt monitors, you've got effects sends and returns, you've got combo line-ins, you've got jack line-ins, you've got expression pedals, you've got SPDIF and optical ins and outs, and MIDI as well, USB-C. Nice little side panel. You get software control with it as well. Yeah, all in a handy little desktop package for a mere $899 of your US dollars. And 2 big knobs on the top, and meters as well, and control surface. And it's also got talkback mic and everything as well. So if you were set up in that way, yeah, it's a nice little thing. There you go. MBOX Studio is available now, $899, and that pretty much kind of wraps up our news for the week. We've got half an hour to go. We've trundled through that. This is what you get when we don't have a guest.
Make some shit up.
Yeah, I don't know what else. There has been some other things announced. There was a new Akai controller.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, the Akai MPK Mini Plus, which seems to be sort of going for the Keystep Pro market. Let me see if I can bring that up here. Let's just bring that tab. Oh, no, wrong one. There we go. Bring that out there. See, I'm wonderfully prepared for this. Now back to the studio and present. Come on. No, don't do that. Now it's doing this. Oh. It's like it plays catch up, and I go and click something before it's responded, and then it's like I've clicked something else. Right, here we go. Share screen, and there we go. Right, MPK Mini Plus. Looks like a nice little controller. It's in a way, it's kind of sort of going for that Keystep Pro kind of market. You got 8 pads and the rotary phase, nice little LED screen in there as well. Compact, a bunch of connectivity on the back, which includes CV gate, clock in and out, MIDI in and out, full size USB, sustain pedal. Got one of those little joysticks on the top there as well. Pitch bend and mod, nice little thing. Retailing for $199.
Yeah,
which is not too bad. But then when you think the MiniLab 3, I know it's smaller, it's half the price. And it's not necessarily half of that, although it doesn't have the built-in sequencer functionality and arpeggiation. Apparently this offers 2 polyphonic tracks with step and real-time recording modes. Akai putting out some fairly decent stuff at the moment.
Has it got a little mushroom controller on it?
Yeah, it's just like a little joystick thing.
Yeah.
Quite how that, what that's for, I don't know.
Just to look different, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because it's quite a saturated market, isn't it? Let's face it.
It is. Yeah,
there's
definitely
plenty to choose from in this neck of the woods.
Yeah. I mean, how much is a Keystep Pro these days? It's nearly twice. Nearly twice as much. I mean, I haven't done a direct comparison between the two, and obviously the Keystep's 37 keys, whereas this is 25. So, maybe not necessarily a direct comparison, but an option nonetheless.
Yeah,
should we say? No, it looks nice. What else? Has there been anything else that's? Let's go to the Gear News. Is always a good place. He says, new employer.
Plug.
Plug. Yeah, go again, No, it's been a little bit light since the Arturia thing. Everything's kind of tailed off.
Yeah.
The SQ64 sequence have got an upgrade. And there was this ingenious little thing, the hexagonal expressive MPE and CV controller. It looked like a bit like a accordion style thing, but apparently it's a bit more than that. It's on Kickstarter, and I think they've beaten their Kickstarter goal.
Yeah.
I think they wanted 52. They've got 70 grand. So they've already achieved their goals there. But yeah, it looks like a nice little thing. But there's not a huge amount else there. Anyway, so tell me, Ken, what have you got in the workshop at the moment? Come on, let's talk fixing stuff.
Lots of acorns, which I must get. The dogs keep bringing acorns into the workshop.
Okay.
No, let's see.
Acorn computers.
There is a Memory Moog Plus in there.
Another one.
It's very ill. There's a Chroma. There's an Acetone drum machine. There's probably 10.
Oh, yes.
Which I was looking at today.
I was going to say, you mentioned that.
Not well. There's a 4-voice. There's a Omni 2. There's a CS80. There's a Korg PS 3200. Is it? I think yes. I think she's a 3200. Loads of stuff in various degrees of crapitude, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention, Culture of Ghosts has just reminded me in the chat. Those of us who pre-ordered the sample trek from Sonicware received a message just the other day saying they should be starting to ship in the first week of November. And this is something I think we all got quite kind of excited about when it launched. And I pre-ordered one straight away because I could see me using one of these a lot. And yes, according to this here, let's just reopen this up a little bit. We're now at the climax of the final phase. Development team is in the process of testing and improving global audio tracks. We're doing everything we can to ship in the first week of November. So it's taken a little while longer, but I think the wait will be worth it. Yeah, I'm really, really excited about getting my hands on this.
Well, Roland's gone very quiet all of a sudden about Rise 2.
Yes, surprise.
I'm still waiting for them to even respond on my support ticket in the first place. So if you're listening, Roland, get your finger out. There you go.
Yeah. Thank you, Ollie. Thank you very much indeed for your donation. It's much appreciated. I guess we should also mention, so we had Synthfest here in the UK about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And next week, it's Synthplex in Burbank, California. And we are hoping that Dr. Synth, Manny Fernandez, and Andy Synth Addict are going to give us a bit of a guided tour live on the show. So they'll be calling in from the show, providing they can get a good signal and they've got plenty of battery power, and taking us around and showing us the delights. I heard that Jean-Michel Jarre was supposed to be going but's had to cancel because of illness in the family or something. So, because his new album came out today, which I haven't bothered listening to. It's a shame, isn't it, when you don't bother listening to a Jean-Michel Jarre album?
No, that happened to me about 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yes, I think that it can be said for a lot of people. But yes, Andy and Manny will be hopefully doing the rounds and showing us lots of carpet.
Yeah, I want to see what the flooring's like.
We want to see flooring. That's what we want. That's what this show's
never going to live that down, Paul Bass.
The Pro Carpet Network.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Andrew Brooks, for your £5. I thank you also again for last night representing ProSynth Network with a fine hoodie, as you can see there, modelled by Kent. Andy had got his on as well, so that was very, very nice to see. Funds for a red strap-on. Did I miss something?
Probably.
Didn't get that.
It's always Andrew that lowers the tone and then blames everybody else.
Yeah, he's got a habit of doing that, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Bless him. Yeah. So, Synthplex next week, and so be having Andy and Manny hopefully doing the rounds with their cameras, showing us synthesizers and carpet. So if you have any special requests about what you want to see live on the show, get them into those guys. You can contact them on the ProSynth Network page and ask them to sort of hone in on those things if they can, of course. I know Dean is going to be there. Lots of people are going to be there. I'm not going to be there. It's a shame. One day I'll get to do an LA show. Oh, apparently I was talking about my my red Behringer keyboard with the strap pegs. So he was paying attention. Well done.
Oh,
Credit to you.
He was being quite.
He wasn't being
nice.
rude.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's no fun.
Manny says they're going to be looking for the wall of Oberheims that Marcus is putting together. Of course, we've got Marcus on this show, November the 11th, coming on to tell us all about his time with Oberheim and Line 6 and, of course, the new ABX8 as well. So, yeah, we've got that show. It's nice to see the shows all coming back and being well attended. Hopefully Synthplex will be done too. I'm padding here. I don't really know what else we can talk about. We're missing Ben. Ben should have dialed in to do a live thing. This is the consequence, actually, and it's not a bad consequence, but it's the consequence of the way that we've shifted the format of the show now. Is that we have a guest on and we do an interview with them at the beginning of the show. We do that first hour, and then we have an hour to do the news, and we often have to drop one or two things. Now we've got 2 hours to do the news because we've got no guest. So yeah, we're just kind of left treading water, as they say.
Yeah. I can just show off more of the Roland drum machine collection I've got down here as well.
Well, yes, come on, yeah, because we witnessed you receiving all this yesterday. So you had a 909 come in, but you also had...
Yeah, there's 2 909s. And then we've got... what else do we have down here?
Oh, I love the way the camera goes down there as well.
Yeah, follow me, camera. Oh, lovely 808. Look
at that.
Oh.
And that's a little bit unique, isn't it, that one? Because it's got a sync light.
Yeah, I think it's a mod that somebody else has done, just so that they can know it's in sync mode from the front panel. Otherwise, you have to keep feeling around the back. You know?
Right.
So yeah. That's that old girl. So Of course, that's actually, I think that's even turned on, isn't it? So it's plugged in. So look. Oh yeah, look. Oh, there you go. It is on. It is on. It's scrolly. I used to love these things when they came out. And then I saw how much they were.
Yeah.
They ran away screaming. Right. Let's put that down there, like so. What else have we got to the Roland collection? Probably the greatest drum machine of all time. CR78.
I always think, for some reason, they're bigger than what they are.
Well, they are pretty chunky. I mean,
they are chunky, yeah. They go back a bit, but I always think they're bigger than that.
Yeah. I mean, as far as drum machines are concerned, the Ace Tones, which were the ones before these, were really, really, really big, but only did about 4 or 5 rhythms, you know.
Yes.
But yeah, more cowbell.
Indeed.
Clink, clink, clink. Yeah. Indeed. So I loved these as well. I think when I bought mine second hand back in the 80s, and it was like $399.
Wow.
I think I had to sell everything I had to put the money together to get it. and then every subsequent track for the next 4 years had a CR78 all over it.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's about 10 grand's worth of Roland drum machines there.
Drum machines, yeah.
Ridiculous. 10 grand. It's like
bonkers. Well, I mean, that difference between the 2 909s is insane.
Yeah.
I've had some people request in the chat that we mention the success story that we had last night. Unfortunately, it's too bloody big to even get up the stairs, let alone find a place. I seriously, I have been looking at what I could maybe move to accommodate it up here, but I seriously can't think of anything. But the good news is, so you might have noticed I've got the shirt on again. So
a pulley system from the ceiling.
Yes, winch it up, or like the whirlers.
Yeah, winch it back down. And
somebody mentioned yesterday like a whirlet, so come out of the floor.
Yeah.
So Kent passed a DX1 over to me to have a look at, to see if I could get it working. Not that Kent's in any way incapable of doing this thing, but it got it out of his toilet so he could decorate it.
I was done. I'm done.
That's it. Too digital for me. And of course, being a slight FM nut, of course, I jumped at the chance, quite literally.
Yeah.
And we got it over here to try and figure out what was wrong with it. And we started off. Probably worth telling the story because it'll fill a bit of time. So we started off sort of like checking everything over visually and making sure that all the chips were there and present, that there were no blown capacitors or anything like that. We checked all the cards, the voice cards, the computer cards, and everything. We looked at the power supply, and the power supply visual inspection looked okay. Everything seemed to be fine, and the system would power on, except that without you touching it, it was letting out a very high pitched, screamy, squealy. Yes.
Yeah.
And I know that some people were saying, well, that's what it's supposed to sound like. It's a DX1. But this was painfully, not very nice at all. So we hummed and hawed and sort of thought about a few things. And Kent had another DX1. I mean, would you believe there's only 140 made, and Kent had about half a dozen of them through his hands in recent months. And so we were talking about it, and we said, why don't we test the cards of this one that's here in the one that we know to work that's over there? So I packaged up the cards and took a drive down to Kent's, which is always a lovely thing to do, and we opened up this fully functional DX1, which we tested before, and it was all working. We opened it up and we put in each of the voice boards and the computer boards, and it was working. So we knew the boards were okay. That was cool. Yeah. Then, and this was, I think, this was the moment it set us on the right track. We put the cards back into the working DX1, turned it on, and it starts to make this horrible squealing sound, just like the one that I've got.
Yeah.
So I think I've certainly, my first thought was, oh, there is something wrong with the cards that I've brought down, and it's now made this go wrong. But it turns out, because Kent's a whiz like this, he said, I want to check the power supply, not the power supply, but the power distribution.
Yeah. And
you found that there was lots of
dry joints. For where we plugged the cards, the other cards in, we've disturbed the power distribution Molex connectors, and it recreated the problem.
Exactly. So we whipped that out, and Kent's got his soldering iron. He's just, and we're just having a little chat. 10 minutes later, everything's resoldered, put back in, singing like a baby. It's lovely, absolutely perfect. So we thought, maybe that's the problem with the one back here. So rush back home, and because I'm really not very good with a soldering iron, I got my friend Howard to come round with his gear, and we whipped out the distribution board, and there didn't seem to be many, if any, sort of dry joints on there, but we said, look, let's just do it. So we desoldered everything, resoldered everything on there, plugged it in, and hadn't worked.
Yeah.
So then we thought, well, it seems like it could be a power thing, because that's what was making the other one. So we traced it back. We just took the power supply out, and Howard took the power supply away, along with full-sized schematics that I was able to get for him. And he went down to every component and found a couple of things that weren't quite as they should have been, because they should have been spitting out 1.8 volts. But we're actually only spitting out like 0.1 or something like that. They were drastically reduced. They weren't doing what they should have done. So he thought he knew what it was, and he replaced that bit, and then that revealed something else. And then there was a trace had lifted off the board as well, I think. So he said, look, just leave it with me, and I'll rebuild it. We have the power to rebuild. And that's what he did. He got some components in and rebuilt everything, and got components as close to the original spec as he could get with today's components. And then I got a phone call on Monday evening saying, can I come over one day this week? I think I've finished the power supply. It's kicking out all the right voltage, but of course we need to test it under load and everything. And so he came over last night, and we fitted the power supply. We plugged it all in and turned it on, and it works.
Voila!
And yeah, it's now sitting downstairs. This is it.
Yeah.
And everything works, and it sounds amazing. And it really, I hadn't fully expected. I've spoken to people like Michael Whalen, who's got one, and I think is it Ronald Peters, I think in the chat has got one as well. They really are quite unlike any other. Even the DX5, which is essentially the same apart from the lack of poly aftertouch and the extra wood, and a couple of other small things. It's kind of a living. Yes, I guess it's like a CS80. It's like a living instrument because of that poly aftertouch. Yeah. Because as you're playing stuff, you hear things happening that you wouldn't hear on others because it's responding to how you're playing that keyboard. And it took a little while for me to get used to that. I need to spend lots more time with it to try and get even more used to it. But wow, it's special. And it looks amazing with all those lights. I must admit, I did say, Alexa, lights 20%, and then just sat there in the semi-darkness with this thing radiating out at me. It is a wonderful thing. So yes, we have a fully operational DX1. Yay. Now I've been asked by lots of people to do videos. So
yeah, you got to do a video.
Got to do a video, which means taking everything downstairs and getting the lighting, because I can't bring it up here. It's not so. And then because this is in the room that is also where the PlayStation is, I've now got to battle for the room with my son, who will be playing something or other. But yes, it lives, it breathes, it sings, and yeah. I'm gonna turn. Hang on, no, wrong one. I don't know. Well, I've not experienced poly aftertouch anywhere else, so I couldn't say whether it's hard on that one than it is something else.
It's harder than say the 80 or the Hydra for that matter, but it's not hard as say the PK keyboard or of the others, which are a little bit more. And the T8 is very hard as well, and the DX1 isn't as hard as the T8. So.
No, it didn't. To me, it didn't feel like I had to put any more pressure than I would say on my KX, which is a different keyboard, a different mechanism and everything. But
well, you should set it up to how you play. If you like to to play lightly and just apply aftertouch in a light way, what you do then is you just extend the amount of sensitivity on the aftertouch.
Yeah.
To do it.
Yes, indeed. I'm sorry, James, I shan't be taking you up on your offer. As much as you would like me to, but no, that's not going to happen. But yeah, it really is. It's a remarkable machine. I mean, it's visually impressive as well as sonically impressive as well. It does sound, because I plugged the Akai multimedia iLouds into directly into the outputs, and I know those speakers are pretty good, but it sounded incredible through those last night. Even through the headphones, it sounds very good.
Yeah. Well, the DAC converters, the outputs on that DX1 is far superior to many of the other DXs.
Yeah. Well,
they're all the pinnacle ones that get handpicked to put in, don't they? So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's very, very vibrant.
Yes, it is. It has an organic kind of quality to the sound. It is. Yeah. It is fantastic. So what I want to do, I'm thinking about, because I'm actually off work next week, off the day job anyway. So it's an ideal opportunity to do a video, because I've got like all day for most days. But what I'd like to do is get the DX5 and the DX7 down there as well.
Okay.
And put them together, and But I don't think I haven't got any more spare keyboard stands. I don't think.
Yeah,
so
but it's one of those opportunities where I don't think that's been done before. Not all three.
I know. Yeah, there's is it Ronald? I think it's Ronald. Ronald Peters is his name, and he's in our Facebook group. He's got a 5 above his 1. I don't know whether he's got a 7 nearby or anything.
I might take it all the way down to the DX100. Just one after the one after the other.
Oh, now you've given me a mission. Which
was the smaller? Was it the DX21 or the DX100?
The 100.
It was 100 because it was sort of like.
Yeah, it was like mini keys. Yeah. But the DX100 had the same engine as the DX27. Because if you open them up inside, the PCBs have got DX27/100, and then whichever machine they're in, the other machine has been rubbed out with a marker pen. Yeah. Because if you open up the DX27, there's not a huge amount inside because it's essentially a DX100 with big keys.
I see.
That was the first DX I ever had, and I sold it. I sold it because I wasn't impressed with it. It was my first ever DX, and I got it and I played it. And I thought, oh God, that sounds a bit rubbish. It's kind of like Never Meet Your Heroes. Not that it was, So I thought that's when I thought, oh yeah, I have to get a DX7 because that surely sounds better. Not particularly.
No.
But you learn that these things do appreciate going through a few little effects, just like most synths of the day.
Yeah, I remember doing a couple of live gigs with was it the PF80 and a DX7.
Yeah,
as my key, but it was a guitar band, so I was basically in the corner just providing sort of like interesting sounds now and again, and then, right, get back on with it. Do all your singing and jumping around, and I'll do a few more interesting. Normally intros.
Yes.
Do the intro, and then it's like the drums, and they go. And I'd just be sitting there
having a fag,
waiting for them to finish, and then it finishes. Go, right, give us another intro, and drop, and that was my job essentially for a couple of weeks.
Dear. Yes. Yeah, I'll have to figure out something. Maybe I'll get. So I'm going to get overly ambitious, where I should really just keep it simple.
Yeah.
But one thing I have been kind of semi-booked to do is, because my son's doing music tech at sixth form, and I've been speaking with the music teacher there, and he said, because he realised I was into all this stuff. He said, do you fancy maybe bringing a couple of bits down and show the kids? And that's what I love to do. I love to let younger people have a look at the stuff that they've probably only ever seen in pictures or heard about or read on Google or some crappy kind of retro review type thing. And then my son said to me last night, he said, so you're going to bring this one to school? I said, yeah, right. You have to help me get it in the boot, but...
yeah, it's kind of pushing it a bit.
Yeah, but it's nice. It's nice to get those things out in front of people. It was when I've taken the Fairlight out, it always... I get a buzz of people getting a buzz that they're seeing a Fairlight for the first time, or seeing something pretty wonderful.
Yeah.
So it is nice to get it out there and let the kids know, this is what came before. This is what your plugins are based on, son.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And I want to start programming because I want to program on the DX1 because it's so much better for it than any of the others. So.
Yeah, well, that's where all those displays really do come into their own.
Yeah, they are. It's fascinating. I was sort of going through, showing my son last night. Look at this, and you change this, and it's very useful. It's a shame they couldn't sort of come up with a way of incorporating that into the DX7 itself, because that would have made things a little easier.
Yeah.
But there you go. So the DX1 lives. So spend a bit of time with that next week. Got any plans for next week? Anything interesting?
No, everything is kind of in limbo at the moment. There's certain things I want to happen that probably won't, because we're relying on external influences. So, but, there is there is some stuff going down beginning of November, isn't there? So
there is, yes.
Which I'm looking forward to.
Very much looking forward to.
Yes. I just want to get my Rolly Grand working, please. Thank you.
Still not heard anything, though.
No, nothing.
No, that's a shame. Yes. No, there are some exciting things coming down the line, which we hope to be covering in some detail. More on that maybe next week.
Yeah. Oh no, I have a second GS1 coming next week.
Oh yes, of course you have. Yeah.
And then I got to do my swap overs and what have you.
And appease Fiona somehow. Having two of those in her front room.
Yeah. Well, she's got that huge exercise machine that she hasn't used yet.
And after all the trouble you went to set it up.
Yeah. Well, she literally became ill.
Yeah, of course, yes.
About an hour after I put the last bolt in, literally, she goes, I don't feel very well now. Yeah, so, and they're saying, oh, you shouldn't do much exercise after having COVID and stuff. I went, yeah, but not that long, girl. Come on, off you go.
Go on.
Get on it, come on.
Dear, oh dear. Is she feeling better, though, yeah?
Yes, the headaches have stopped. It was very weird. It actually, like I said, it changed the shape of her eye. Yeah, it went all down, and the pupil went all wide and wouldn't close up. It's like from a headache. It's like that's not good. So,
well, I think that just about wraps it up. I think we've made it to like 9 o'clock.
I got 20:59 here, so looks like you did.
Well, you know, by the time we've said the goodbyes and played the credits and that, it'll be 9 o'clock.
We've done it.
We did it. It was. There was lots of news, but we managed to kind of cram it in a bit too much. But thanks to everyone that stayed, because a lot of you have. I'm surprised that the numbers are high as they are. So thank you ever so much for staying. They're going up as well. They just
got up.
The last bit
was more like one of my shows, wasn't it? Sort of like, just two people ambling, talking crap. You know?
Just testiculating,
ambling along. Yeah.
Well, anyway, look. Thanks ever so much, mate. Always a pleasure to spend time with you, as it always is every week. And hopefully next week we'll have Ben back, and of course next week, as I've said before, we've got the prospect of a virtual tour, not a virtual tour, a real tour, but you know, over the internet, of Synthplex. It's going to be around, I think it's about 11 a.m. their time, so hopefully it won't be getting too busy, and they'll be able to get round and show us loads of cool stuff and carpet as well. So that's Manny and Andy hopefully going to be doing that for us next week. I don't know if we're going to have a guest. Haven't got anything at the moment, but these things can change overnight. I've put
well, we're all waiting on various messages from various people, aren't we? You just don't know until last minute, really, half the time.
Well, I had an email from our friend Benj the other day, and he wants to come back on. I'm not going to say what he wants to discuss. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to, but he's got some stuff that he wanted to talk about and get out there. So we're hopefully going to get him on. We've got Marcus Ryle, of course, on November 11th. Got Dave Gamson on December the 2nd. So we've got a few irons in other fires. I think we've confirmed a guest for November 4th, but I can't say who that is just yet.
Oh God, I hope he can do a demo.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, because...
Put it this way, I've heard it, people. You're going to love it.
Yeah. And I've played it, people, and you are absolutely going to love it.
I was like, whoa. This.
Yeah. It's one of the real perks of doing something like this is you do get some early access, and it's very, very exciting. But I can't say who, can't say what, can't say when.
Yeah.
Because I've signed documents. But yes, it's exciting stuff. Stay tuned for more information. If you want to keep up with what's happening on the channel, and of course join us at the Facebook group, just go to Facebook at ProSynth Network. If you're not a member there, why not? But if you're not a member, then please do join up. When you hit the join button, it'll ask you 3 questions. That's simply to prove that you're a human being. That's all we want, and that you want to be there. If you invite anyone, by the way, please let them know that you've invited them, because otherwise the invites just sit there and we're waiting for them to answer questions, because not everybody wants to be invited to the group. So if you invite someone and you know that they're going to want to join, just tell them that you've invited them, and then they have to fill out the questions, and then they come. It's as simple as that. He's doing it again.
What is your credit card? What is your credit card number is one of the questions you have to ask.
Yes, yeah.
I'm sorry
your
about
date
that.
of birth.
Yeah, and PIN number.
And PIN number, yeah. That's all we need.
That's all. That's all we need.
Nothing more. So thank you, Wagyu, for another donation. That's fantastic. Don't forget, tomorrow you've got, I believe Rands is on tomorrow. I know he said he sent a message earlier today saying he was going to set his alarm to sit up and watch the show. And I said, well, if you're going to sit and watch it, you might as well come on it. But he said, no, it's because it's 3 a.m. He'll wake the house up. So he declined, but hopefully he's been watching, and hopefully he'll be doing his show 1 p.m. tomorrow UK time. Excuse me. And then we've got, on Sunday, we've got Jamie Geosynth should be doing a show, I believe. And I know that Dom is doing a show because he posted up an alert a couple of hours ago. So he's got another fantastic guest on there. And if you haven't already, go back to Mr. Wiggly's channel and have a look for the NPC, Inky the Cat video that they did last night that I very rudely interrupted when I called Kent to say it's working.
I did as well, don't worry about it.
So there was a great video of Inky taking Dom and Kent through the process of using NPC live and stuff like that, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
So go back and rewatch that.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, Dom's been doing his series on mental health with Ollie, Oliver Gold, and that's very fascinating and interesting. Do go and check those out. And then so that's Rands tomorrow, Jamie and Dom on the Sunday, and then of course you've got Nick on a Wednesday.
There might be some pub opened during some of that.
Okay, cool.
Quite possibly.
You better do some next week, because next week I don't have to get up early in the morning to work, so I can, legitimately stay up.
Well, I was thinking about doing another Saturday night or a Sunday night one again. Yeah,
those don't go down so well with the missus.
No, they don't go down well with a lot of people, to be honest.
No.
Which is why I do them.
Indeed. Indeed.
Got to be controversial, otherwise what's the point?
Well, yes, quite. So lots of great shows. Do stick, go and subscribe to them. Show them some support and love as you do with us, and we're super appreciative of that. And we'll be back same time, same place next week, as I said, with the Synthplex walkabout. Fingers crossed. If not, we'll hopefully have Ben back. We'll have some news, maybe a guest or two. But until then, have a fantastic weekend that's coming up. Enjoy it. I'm going to have a lovely week off with putting my feet up. Yeah, my daughter's just got a job where she's going to be starting work at 5:30 in the morning. She doesn't drive yet.
Ooh.
So it's like short straw time.
Ooh.
So, yes. But at least she's now in the world of employment and can pay some rent. Anyway, we'll see you same time, same place next week. And until then, have a lovely weekend. Stay safe. And we will see you all soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
The ghost cells.